Hey guys, it's Esper. Welcome to my channel. And if you're new here, I will be making more Valorant content as the weeks go on. So if you like what you see, please subscribe down below. Let's get started. So these are some tips that I have for you guys to help you play better Valorant. And I'm going to show you guys clips in which I use these tips. So the first thing is use your shift key. So if you're very new to the game, your shift key by default allows you to walk. And what walking does is it masks your footsteps from being able to be heard by the enemy team. And this is powerful because of two things. One, you keep your position a secret. And two, it allows you to better listen for the positions of other people who aren't walking. And I see this a lot in lower elo games where people just straight up don't walk. And it gives your enemy the information of when you round a corner and allow them to pre-fire or pre-aim the position you're going to be at. So just use your shift key. The game goes so far as to highlight the area in which you make sound up in the top left in your minimap. So use that to your advantage and walk whenever you can. So the next tip I have for you guys is related. It's look at your minimap. Your minimap is a wealth of information and it allows you to have callouts even when your teammates aren't making any callouts. Now, what do I mean by that? You see here that your enemies will pop up in the top left corner of your screen whenever an ally sees them. So even if your enemy isn't called out by your team, you will still know where they are because of the minimap. And this is an aside from a Cypher main, is that whenever your Cypher ults, you will see the enemies on the map, and you can then take into consideration where they are and how you position. And the traps for Cypher will show a notification if somebody has been trapped or has destroyed the trap. So that's really useful for telling you where your enemy is. Keep looking at your minimap. Okay. Alright, so my next tip for you guys is crosshair placement. And this is incredibly important because it is a fundamental basic that you need to have when you're playing these types of FPS shooters. When you keep your crosshair at head level, you minimize the time it takes for you to kill your opponent because you do the most damage when you are aiming at somebody's head. There have been so many times when I am in a game and people are walking around with their crosshairs to the ground, and it is very, very terrible because imagine bringing your crosshair up from the ground to somebody's head. Now think of the time that it takes you to do that. It takes up valuable time in which you could be doing damage to your enemy. And I want to show you guys here in this screenshot that's coming up how many of my kills were headshots. And that is because I placed my crosshair where I think their heads were going to be. And this will make you a much better player. Trust me. So the next tip I have for you guys is to pre-aim, pre-aim, pre-aim. Alright, this may seem similar to the first tip, but not quite the same. So I'm going to go through this clip with you here and watch where I put my crosshair. You see me put my crosshair where I think an enemy is going to be. Right? So you see me put it at the arches and under heaven. So the same thing happens here, is you take the time to predict where your enemy is going to be to minimize the time that it takes for you to kill them. The same thing happens here. Each time I round a corner, I point my crosshair at a place where my enemy could be and not necessarily where I know they are. A lot of this is prediction and trying to figure out your enemy's behavior, which I will go into in a more in-depth video. But you see here that I'm constantly putting my crosshair at head level and at a location that I think an enemy will be. And I utilize sound cues, I utilize my crosshair placement to get these kills. Now I hear the Reyna below me, and I make sure that my crosshair, as I drop down, is aiming in hell. And that's the call out for that under heaven area. And that's how I get the kill quicker than she did, even though I was making a lot of noise. So my next tip for you guys is to slow down your shots. And what I mean by this is when you're using a fully auto weapon like the Phantom, like the Vandal, you want to spray less and tap more and burst more. This allows you to not experience the negative effects of the recoil of the guns as much. And what I mean by this is that the longer you spray your weapon, the more inaccurate it becomes. So you see me here bursting down 3 people with one mag because I used my bullets sparingly and tapped instead of spraying. If I had sprayed in that situation at that distance, there is a good chance that I would only be able to get 1, maybe 2 people, because transferring the spray to the next person is much tougher than stopping and then starting shooting again. So keep this in mind when you are tackling multiple enemies until you get really good with spray transfers and practice it. You really want to get more burst fire into your gameplay than tap fire.
This goes here.
So all together now, I will show you in this clip how I clutched out this round for us. First, I looked at the minimap and I saw where my opponents were and where I had to be wary of opponents. So I shift walk toward that place, and then I make sure to pre-aim my crosshair at head level where I know my enemies are, and look at how small of an adjustment I have to make to shoot that Viper. And then I tap fire and reset my recoil while I'm fighting these 2 other people. So, using all of these techniques, I was able to take on 3 people, whereas if I had tried to spray them down, I could have missed, or I could have whiffed more shots and had to reload, and then I have lost the element of surprise. So that is how all of those tips come together, and let me know what you guys found the most helpful in this video, and if you have any more questions, and if you want to see a topic covered, please let me know down in the comments below.
30 seconds
and
left.
if you have a VOD of a full match that you want me to review, please email me at espersks@gmail.com. It should be popping up on the screen right now, and I have my social media up on the screen right now as well. I do stream on Twitch, but not as often as I would like. I'm still trying to find my schedule. I post clips on Instagram, and I'm decently active on Twitter. So if you guys like those things, feel free to give me a follow on any of them. I would appreciate it. Thank you for your time, and if you like this video and found it helpful, please give a like for the YouTube algorithm. Thanks. Bye.